Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today, I just have a slight update for you guys on Ripple and XRP about everything that just happened today, as it's been a pretty big day. So first of all, there was this telephonic conference. Hopefully you guys were all there, as we had more than 7,000 people watching live. It was very exciting, where they basically covered this issue regarding William Hinman and the attorney-client privilege. Now, over on my Twitter, I've been asking a couple of questions, putting up a couple of posts, but let's just briefly summarize everything. The discussion at hand was on whether or not the emails behind William Hinman's speech should be basically seen by the people, by the public, by the Ripple site, whatever, or not. Well, the SEC is saying no, because of our attorney-client privilege. What they are saying, and again guys, I am not a lawyer, I'm trying to phrase this in the best way in which I possibly can. What they are saying is that no, it should not be given to anybody because it was basically an attorney, which is the SEC's lawyers talking with their clients, which was Hinman. So following that privilege, basically, an attorney and a client, it shouldn't be given out. Now, that is again what the entire call was going to be about discussing this specific issue at hand, because Ripple says we think that's BS. Little foreshadowing here, the judge mostly sides with Ripple on this one. But this telephonic conference started at 3 p.m. New York time, actually started about half an hour later at 3:30 p.m. And it started out with the SEC giving their argumentation as to why they thought that, well, it shouldn't be given out, why the privilege holds. Now, straight from the get-go, as you'll most likely hear as well if you listen back to the entire call, you can see it over on my channel. Not the call itself, but my interpretation of it. You can check it out over on my channel. You'll start to notice she's stuttering quite a lot, and she's actually reciting the exact same thing. But the judge keeps on interfering and saying, well, but I don't understand. Or can you explain? Or what do you talk about? What? And that is because, as far as I understood, there is quite a lot of inconsistencies with the SEC story. Now, as we later found out during the call, they're basically trying to assert a couple of different things. And Ripple, after they start to reply on the matter, really hammered a lot into this, which is, well, they're trying to say that it was a personal opinion when it comes in the best interest to them. But they're also trying to say that it's a policy slash guidance slash legal matter when it is kind of on the best occasion for them as well. And we've seen this because they've basically gotten three different stances. First of all, regarding the fair notice defense, then regarding the deliberative process privilege, and now regarding the attorney-client privilege. They have three different stances, and right now it's fully on the sense of no, it's a policy in the sense of that they didn't receive policy advice, but it's like William Hinman, as the director of corporation finance, gave this speech potentially in his position of director of corporation finance, but he received guidance from SEC lawyers where he was the client from the attorney, being the SEC lawyers, and they needed to do this. They needed to give him this advice, so he was not inconsistent with the SEC's official application of security laws on digital assets. Oh, there's a moth. To make sure I have some better lighting, I'll just open up this little letter. So again, the SEC side was mostly saying, hey, we did not receive any policy advice. And we're talking about William Hinman himself. He gave this speech in name of himself or the agency, not the entire agency, but only the Corporation of Finance, like division, so to speak. But they say that does not matter, because at the end of the day, all that matters is that he was asking SEC lawyers, which again, the judge was kind of hesitant about. She's like, well, why not his own personal lawyers? And that's actually a key part in all this. Why would he not just inquire just to normal personal lawyers or whatever if he is not basically inquiring for this as part of the SEC, but inquiring for himself? Get my drift. The SEC's answer is, well, because he is doing this just to not be inconsistent with the views of the SEC and in the way in which they apply security laws to digital assets. But Ripple's defense came in quite clutch with explaining, well, but in the speech, he's clearly saying that whatever he's thinking doesn't necessarily have to be the way that the SEC thinks about this or everything of this sort, basically just saying I and, we, it could be meaning a couple of different things. But let's just conclude it like this. He's really clearly trying to distinct the opinion of the SEC and his own. They've really made a big job out of doing that. And they applied that pressure earlier when they were trying to argue that it was just a personal opinion, where right now they're trying to point it more towards it's an agency decision on the matter. Because again, it helps them. Before, at the fair notice defense and actually the DPP as well, there was definitely a case to be made as to why it would have been better if it was one or the other versus now, in the sense that they've changed their mind on what the William Hinman speech was going to be about to kind of fit the needs of whatever privilege they want to use. And the judge was onto this rather quickly, because from the start she's saying, well, I don't understand, or it's inconsistent, or aren't you noticing this inconsistency as well? And again, there comes the biggest freaking nail in the head. The SEC lawyer was just saying every single time, please let me elaborate. And then she started saying the exact same thing again and 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 again. Like I said during the stream, one thing that I've heard her say at least a dozen times, I think, is that, just to reiterate that, yada, 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 she just kept saying, whatever you're saying, Judge, that does not matter. It's kind of not relevant to the issue. All we want to say is that he received legal advice. Not regarding policy, not regarding business. He received legal advice. He, in that case, is the client, and the SEC lawyers or whatever are the attorneys. Another very trending topic in that was about how difficult the law would be on this stuff, and they all agreed, all three parties, that the law is not so difficult. The SEC tried to argue at a couple of points that it is kind of difficult, but the judge said no, it isn't, and Ripple also said no, it isn't. But again, the point at hand is that Ripple's in a really good position, mostly because the SEC really went astray from their original stance, which is that, no, it's a personal opinion, but no, it's actually no, it's a personal opinion. Well, the judge ruled as a personal opinion, then they went for the motion for reconsideration, everything is a personal opinion. Them now trying to say, yeah, but not really, I mean, he didn't want to be inconsistent with the view of the SEC internally, and so he could have set this as the head of the of corporation finance, basically. It's starting to really kind of shift within the judge or head as well, which is like, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And why are you saying this now? Why didn't you say this before? Why are you changing your story? A lot of people in the chat box were comparing it to Amber Heard, where it's just not really making a lot of sense. If everybody in the room knows that you're blatantly lying, or at least just doing exactly the opposite of what you're saying, then why pursue? Why go on? It's, to me, showing a lot of desperation in the sense that they just don't know any better. You might call it unprofessionalism, but let's just say it like this. I think that for the first time, Ripple's in a really good position for a conclusion here. Not the end of the lawsuit, but for a conclusion from the judge, really in their favor, where it's actually going to cast doubt on a lot of the things which the SEC has said prior. And maybe this is going to really put a dent into a lot of the things in which the SEC is kind of being hesitant, because the judge is going to be like, well, but you really try to mess me up on this one with some BS arguments. I don't fall for this one twice, because the judge now has to look at everything a little bit more proper, because she obviously knows the SEC is not shy of just changing up their story whenever it meets their criteria, whenever it works best for them. Once more, guys, one of the most prominent things out of this entire call to me was how the judge called out the SEC on multiple occasions. I think the entire call was mostly the judge calling out the SEC for their shenanigans. I honestly think that's the main goal, or the main underlying tone here. Ripple's argumentation was strong. Even though the judge questioned it at the start, it was pretty strong. However, that's mostly because the SEC is just this barely bad. It's just really, really embarrassing. What do we think the judge will conclude, though? Because that's, again, the end. I honestly think that the judge... Saw the mouth again. I honestly think that the judge will conclude in Ripple's favor this time, where she basically gives out at least a lot of these different drafts of the Hinman speech. The reason I say this is mostly because of the SEC's inconsistencies, not actually because of their defense. Again, mind you, the SEC defense from a certain perspective makes some sense if they didn't try to claim otherwise before. Because, listen carefully, the judge ruled that this speech is a personal opinion. That's objective. That's clear now to everybody. The SEC now trying to change their story, even though really before they were trying to hammer in on the fact that it's not relevant. That's again a key. They said the entire speech is not relevant in any way, shape, or form. But the judge said, well, but in the way in which you're trying to make it sound, this might even be a reflection of the Corporation of Finance division at the SEC regarding digital asset policy. It's very relevant, right? And the bar is very low on that one. And she's like, no, it's not relevant still. We disagree. The judge is like, what? If you think about it, Yeah, let me just conclude here. Them changing the story was a very, very big mistake. They said one thing before, they said one thing now. Judge is most likely not going to buy it, and I think Ripple will get a lot of these documents. The reason I said just now that it makes a little bit of sense is because if they're claiming the fact that it's just he got legal advice, so all those letters were just regarding legal advice. That's why Ripple should not be able to see it, because William Him was asking some party for legal advice. It's an argumentation that's definitely solid from a certain perspective, had they not claimed otherwise before. On the contrary, and this is what the judge also put up, why didn't he ask any outside party, but why SEC internals? And again, we can discuss about whether or not that was necessary, as they have some argumentation for it, and I don't know how good that one is. One other caveat I should point out here is the fact that, and this is kind of a difficult one, we don't officially know what was said in a lot of those drafts, so we don't know exactly what changed nor how important they are. The judge, of course, will know. But that will ultimately also determine whether or not it's going to be, really good for Ripple to see it or whatnot. But that's also going to determine what eventually comes out of this one. Because you might be wondering, what is so important about this decision? Well, these drafts can show internal SEC policy, which is, as of this point, confidential, regarding their thoughts on Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin, whatever. However, think about this. If it turns out that what they said in today's hearing is true, that basically means that William Hinman at the Division of Corporation Finance is the head of that. And the judge asks another question, like, could it have been him or any other person at the Corporation of Finance given the speech? Was it just purely his opinion, or was it a Corporation of Finance opinion that William Hinman, as the head, gave? But we didn't really get an answer on that one. She's like, no, it was Director Hinman's personal opinion, which could have been. She's like, well, which one? Didn't give an answer. But what we're going to get out of this is, well, if it turns out that indeed he spoke as not only personal opinion, but a little bit of this SEC in there as well, then a lot of these emails, a lot of these drafts are going to showcase internal SEC policy regarding the application of security laws on digital assets, which can basically help out a lot in the fair notice of defense and everything else, because that means that the SEC knew something potentially but didn't say it to Ripple, or knew something but didn't apply it correctly everywhere, or that Ripple now follows along with the line in which the SEC said, or basically set for other cryptos like Ethereum. So that might definitely be very relevant. Again, guys, in the lawsuit, all these single decisions are not necessarily that exciting for the price, necessarily, because why would somebody start buying it now? It's only these hype people that buy the rumor, sell the news based upon news articles. But most of us, the XP community, they don't buy because of one little update like this, because this is not going to help them win or lose by definition, right? This is just one little, ground in an entire freaking war, one little small battle in an entire war. But the implications of it sometimes might change the price a little bit, meaning depending on what's exactly in those drafts, some of those things can change the price because of the way in which the SEC reflects on crypto. That can definitely have some hard-hitting consequences. Also, the fact that the judge might have changed their mind on the SEC, that type of stuff might also be rather positive, because once more, the SEC was really doing quite well in terms of a lot of their calls, in the sense that they didn't, I can't say they did better than Ripple in any of them, but in some cases, I sometimes even would argue saying they had a good defense or they tried. In this case here, the individual was stuttering like crazy, the defense from the SEC side, gave the exact same defense every single time, did not answer questions properly, went into circles and circles and circles. It had inconsistencies, which again, funny enough, that was the entire trouble at hand, the fact that they didn't want to have inconsistencies. But that's the story for a different day, I guess. No, it wasn't good. It definitely wasn't good. And Ripple side was just banging as always. You can also hear the difference in tone, difference in everything. Just Ripple side was way better this call. So personally, I think Ripple really won this one very much outright. But again, that's just my quick little summary of everything. I might have forgotten something because, again, I streamed for over 3 hours, even though the call only lasted about an hour and a half maybe or something. There was also one other update in the lawsuit, by the way. It just came out. Due to this is the wrong one. Here we go. So there was actually Ripple's newest reply to the request for admission. Again, guys, it didn't really fully because I actually wanted to go to sleep. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just quickly make this update before I head to bed. Ripple defendants filed a reply letter in further support of their motion regarding the deficiencies in the SEC's responses to the Ripple defendants' fourth set of requests for admission. Requests for admission being just, a request for answers, basically. Ripple required 6 sets. They only I think the judge only applied, or I guess a thumbs up to like 4 or 5 of the sets. This is just in set 4. A lot of different questions are in there, and the SEC didn't really properly answer the questions. So Ripple's now coming in explaining why they should answer the questions properly, or why they didn't answer properly before, and why they should kind of change it up. And these are about different issues. Here's some inquiries about XRP received by Oya and FinHub. And these are the requests for admission numbers. Basically, there's so many hundreds of requests, and they're asking about a couple of them, about the SEC watch list, about the SEC trading policies, where again the SEC did not answer properly. Ripple's 2013 meeting with the SEC and other regulators. Then we have, these are just different sections, right? No action letters, which again are a lot of RFAs. And then we have RFAs regarding the completeness of SEC document production and authenticity of recorded remarks by SEC personnel. This one was a really funny one, if you guys do not remember. So there was one little call a little while ago. Not a call, I guess an interview with William Hinman and some interviewer. The Ripple was asking, can you confirm that this is William Hinman? And they said, no, we cannot confirm that at the time. Where obviously it's William Hinman. There's no denying that. It's literally him talking in an interview, one with another guy. And they're also asking, is this video real? And they're like, no, we can't say that, which is just outright strange. I'm not sure why they wouldn't just say, yes, that's him. I mean, I've watched a lot of this Johnny Depp, Amber Heard stuff, but at least Johnny Depp or Amber Heard's not saying, that wasn't me in a video that's clearly that person. Nobody's that ridiculous to say, no, that isn't me, when you can clearly see the face and them talking in an interview, obviously. It's not as if this is like a sketchy-ass club photo in the back taken with like a iPhone -1 or whatever, with the Samsung. This is just a clear, good camera interview between the two of them sitting at a panel. This is not a discussionable fact or discussionable opinion, I guess. It's stating the obvious. Then again, guys, I am excited. I'm happy. This was a good thing. Price was pumping and dumping a little bit. During our stream, the price was definitely going pretty juicy, which was nice to see. Right now, price is dumping yet again a little bit, but I don't think it's going to matter too much, as I still expect a pretty good upside for XRP over the next couple of weeks. If you did not join it yet, guys, I recommend you all to check out my Telegram. A link is going to be down below, as I'll update a couple of trading updates in there rather shortly. I also recommend you guys to subscribe to the channel, for if there's going to be any more lawsuit updates or so, I'll cover them on the channel for sure. But anything regarding XRP or crypto as a whole, whenever there's more important news, I cover it on the channel. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you press the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today or tomorrow, whatever.